Thank you, everyone, for hopping on this morning. Opioid Abatement Authority is excited to welcome you all and open up our first Abatement Academy webinar for 2025. Um, these are a series of free webinars that we offer throughout the year on all different areas of subjects around opioid abatement, including things that have to do with OAA grants, like today's subject for the OAA performance measures, as well as highlights of various abatement programs that are going on throughout the Commonwealth. Today, we'll be talking about the guidance around the performance measures that OAA has and are requirements of every grant or award that the OAA gives. We noticed when we get through our first cycle of annual reporting that sometimes numbers seemed much larger than made sense for the size of the project or the size of the area. So one of the reasons we developed this guidance was to provide a little more clarity for the types of items that we're looking for, not only what qualifies as something such as like in what we would consider an accountable opioid overdose that would be reported, but also that many programs have been expanded and with funds from the OAA, and that the performance measure should be reflective of just the expansion piece, not the whole thing. With the same thing that it's like if you're doing something like, you know, opioid overdose deaths reversed, it should be for the piece that came out of the project funded by OAA, not like the reported results for like the whole county or a whole region. So that's kind of just a high level talk. We published a guidance document a few weeks ago that's available on the grants info page under both the individual and cooperative partnership tabs. And for anyone that's with the state agency, that will also be available when the state agency RFP process opens tomorrow. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to OAA Senior Grant Compliant Analyst, Sharika Bridges, and she's going to take us through the presentation. We'll have opportunities for questions. You can use the Q&A feature or the raise hand feature, and then I can allow you to talk. So feel free to do that at any point, and there'll certainly be an opportunity at the end. And like all Abatement Academy sessions, this will be recorded, and the video along with the slide deck will be posted within a few days to the Abatement Academy webpage. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. So in terms of today's agenda, we'll be talking about some definitions related to the OAA list of performance measures. We'll also discuss some general standards surrounding performance measures. We'll give you a snapshot view of how to enter performance measures in the OAA grants portal, both for new applications and renewal/amendment applications for fiscal year 26. We will also talk through how you're going to have to enter in your performance measures for your annual reporting requirement that is due for any current fiscal year 25 awards. That'll be due around September 1st of 2025. We'll also talk through requirements for maintaining performance measure records, as well as any requirements for performance measures that are collected by either partner localities for cooperative partnerships and or subrecipients, and that's relevant for all proposals. And then also talking through some examples and scenarios, and then we'll also give you some guidance on how you can access the OAA issued performance measure guidance online. So in talking through definitions related to your performance measures, as we mentioned previously, there is a list of OAA performance measures that you can choose from. We'll also talk through, based on your proposal or your project scope, you can also propose some performance measures. So we'll also show you kind of where to do that in terms of the grants portal. But in terms of definitions, when you're looking at that list of OAA performance measures and you're looking at terminology referred to as a recipient, That is typically defined as the state agency or the governing body of the city or county that receives the funding directly from the OAA. That recipient of those OAA funds is also considered the fiscal agent for the grant or award. When we're talking about new projects in the guidance document, we're also talking about an OAA request for a funded opioid abatement remediation project or an already funded opioid abatement or remediation project that is new to the recipient. So that is a project that has not previously received funding. When we're talking about an expanded project, we're talking about an existing opioid abatement or remediation project that receives funding from the OAA to expand either in scope and or size, and it's also known as a supplementing or enhancement to an existing project. In terms of participating in, that basically means when an individual attends a particular opioid abatement or remediation project, such as an educational program or an activity. When we refer to connected to, so some of the performance measures are related to connecting individuals to certain opportunities. That's basically when an individual is provided direct access or intake to a specific opportunity. That can include a formal introduction, a remote or physical meeting, an enrollment activity, or any form of intake related to the project. And then when we talk about provided, so that basically means when an individual was engaged in giving or offered specific information, good or service, or access to a specific opportunity. Continuing on with our definitions, we have 3 additional terms. When we're referring to completing, that is when a person meets all of the requirements of a program to be considered as having completed that particular program. Again, that could include finishing a class or an educational program, graduating from a program, or being discharged from a medical procedure. Also, when we talk about engagement or engaging, that is when direct contact has been made with an individual person. And then in terms of our definitions surrounding overdoses reverse. So what we mean by that is specifically when naloxone is used on a suspected overdose, and then the patient shows immediate signs of improvement. So that could mean they begin breathing again, their consciousness level improves, and those overdose reversals should only be counted if they are a direct outcome of the OAA funded project. So we'll give some additional guidance surrounding that particular note in terms of when you're thinking about proposing in your applications and tracking your approved performance measures for annual reporting purposes. So in talking through some general standards, we've broken out these standards for new applications. So that means that it's not a renewal of an existing award. We're also given some guidance regarding expanded or enhanced projects. And then we'll also give some guidance regarding the revision of performance measures. So as it relates to new applications or proposals, in the performance measures section of the application, you are required to indicate your proposed performance measure result. The performance measures that are selected as a part of your application, again, we're talking about new applications or new proposal submissions, must be measures that are directly linked to the proposed project. So what we mean by this is that you should propose performance measures that are specifically relevant to your scope of your project. So we encourage you to be mindful regarding selection of your performance measures as you're working through your renewal applications and proposals. In terms of expanded or enhanced projects, so if the OAA funds a project that is currently in existence with your city or county or agency, and you're requesting OAA funding to expand or enhance that existing project, then those performance measures that you're going to propose as a part of your application or your proposal should be only the measures that are going to be generated by that OAA funded expansion or enhanced portion of that project. So if you have a project that is already in existence and you're looking to expand or enhance, you're only proposing measures that are related to that expansion or enhancement. And then those measures should not be proposed that will result in reporting the sum of all related projects in a community that impact the measure. So again, making sure that you're only focusing on what measures would be related to that particular funded enhancement or expansion. If it's not feasible to separate existing performance data from future results of an expanded or enhancement program, please contact us and we can provide you with some guidance on how to convey this in your application as well as in your annual report. So please let us know and we can kind of talk through that for you or with you if you have a proposed expanded or enhancement project. And then in terms of after you've submitted your application or your proposal, if your project has been approved for an award, we want to talk through the process for revising performance measures. So once a project has been awarded by the OAA and those performance measures have been approved, the recipient is not allowed to revise or edit any proposed performance measure without prior approval from the OAA. So the first step is to reach out to us, kind of give us some information regarding your request to potentially revise those performance measures. We will give you some guidance, but the next step would involve you submitting a change to a performance measure. That change would be submitted through an amendment to the project, and those amendments to the project are done through the OAA grants portal. The first step would be notifying us so that we can talk through the specifics. The second step would be submitting that amendment request in the OAA grants portal. Also, just some general guidance regarding performance measure standards as they relate to annual reporting. So for annual reporting, the recipient or fiscal agent should indicate the actual performance measure result was the actual measures achieved for each measure that was included and approved in the award. The recipient or fiscal agent should also use actual counts and or measurements or performance, not including estimates. Now, we do realize that in some cases it's not possible to provide exact counts, and in those cases, we will require you to provide us with a specific methodology that you use to develop your estimate. And that methodology must be included in the annual report narrative. We'll kind of show you kind of where that information should be entered. And then if you're experiencing any difficulties in collecting actual performance measurement data, again, please let us know. We can kind of provide you with some assistance and guidance based on your specific circumstances. If your performance measures, your year-to-date performance measures achieved during your annual reporting time, if they are different from what was proposed and approved from your application or proposal, please include a description in the narrative that addresses the reasons for those variations. So an example may be if you had a harm reduction performance measure to provide 100 individuals with naloxone, and you ended up only providing 2 at the end of your period of performance year or your fiscal year, we would want to know what happened to prompt that variation between your approved measure of 100 versus your actual achieved measure of 2. So that would be kind of an example. And then you may add data for performance measures that were not included in the original proposal or application. So there may be a particular measure that you did not include as a part of your application or proposal, but you may have actually met those measures or had some outcomes to report. There is a way in the annual report that you can report on that, and you could possibly revise that for your renewal applications or proposals going forward. So moving on to showing you kind of what the application or proposal will look like in terms of for new applications in the OAA grants portal. So you'll see in the blue outline section, when you're doing a new application or a new proposal for funding, this is specifically for fiscal year 2026 for cities and counties, and it would be for period of performance year 25-26 for state agencies. You would enter in your proposed performance measures in the blue outline area. And so that would be the section that you're required to complete if you are doing a new application and you're looking to go on and put some proposed measures for fiscal years 27 through fiscal years 30, you can do so. But in terms of ensuring that you have what is required for the April 1st deadline for cities and counties and the May 27th deadline for state agencies, you'll definitely need to enter something into that blue outline category. So in terms of talking about entering in performance measures for renewal applications or proposals, when you go in to submit a renewal application or proposal, you will see your approved current year, current fiscal year, or current period of performance year performance measures. So you can see that fiscal year 25 column. Those would indicate your approved measures, and you will not be able to modify that section. That column will be grayed out, so you won't be able to edit that into the system, but you will be required to input your fiscal year 25 year-to-date performance measures as a part of your renewal application. And then you would also need to input your fiscal year 26 performance measures. And you have the option to provide any comments. So we do understand for cities and counties that are applying by the April 1st deadline, we do understand that your fiscal year does not end until June 30th. So you're reporting on your performance measures year to date. So if you would like to enter any comments regarding that, you're more than happy to do so. We also understand that you'll be reporting for your annual report September 1st of 2025. And with that annual report, you should have your final performance measures that were achieved for fiscal year 25, and you should be able to report on those during the annual reporting time. But for the sake of your renewal application, you'll just be providing us with your outcomes of the performance measures year to date. And then we briefly touched on, let's say you are submitting a new application or even a renewal application, and you have a performance measure that is specific to the scope of your project, but it's different from our list of OAA performance measures. You can add a new performance measure and you can indicate what that measure is and also provide your proposed amounts for fiscal year 26 all the way through fiscal year 30 if it's relevant for your proposal. And so you would do that in the dark blue outline section, the other please describe section of the portal. And it's at the bottom portion of the performance measures page or section of the application. You would simply click add new, and then you can enter in what that performance measure is and what your proposed outcomes are for fiscal year 26. And then again, if you had any performance measures where you're providing any estimates or there's something specifically related to your methodology for tracking those measures, again, that would be relevant. Also, if you're doing a supplemental or an enhancement project and you're only reporting on the OAA funded portion of your measures, you can elaborate on any of that information in the green outline section of the performance measures tab. And basically you would enter in what your methodology is or give us any other comments. I would like to note that this is optional, so you're not required to complete this section to move forward, but as we're reviewing any submitted applications that are around the April 1st deadline, it may be something that we will reach out and ask for clarity and ask you to kind of add or elaborate on for us. So we did want to just show you where this section is. Again, it's in the performance measures part of the application. And then we talked about performance measures for annual reporting. So this is just a snapshot of a summary of what the annual report looks like. As you can see in the top blue outline section, you'll have your fiscal year 25 awarded performance measures. So those are the measures that were approved as a part of your award. And then you'll be able to report on your fiscal year 25 actuals and provide us with any comments that are relevant to your performance measures. Again, we want to reiterate as we get closer to the annual reporting deadline. Again, that's going to be September 1st of 2025 for any fiscal year 25 awardees for cities and counties. If you have any discrepancies between your awarded measures and your actual measures at the end of the fiscal year, we're going to ask you to give us some comments and elaborate on what prompted those variations. And so you can also see at the bottom of the screen, there is a light blue outline section. That section is also relevant to provide us with any additional details regarding the project and regarding your work towards meeting and possibly exceeding your approved performance measures. Then moving on, talking about records and retention related to performance measures. So again, we want to reiterate that the recipient or the fiscal agent is responsible for maintaining written descriptions and/or accurate records to indicate how actual counts and data was collected surrounding the performance measures. Now, one thing we do want to note, this is relevant for both cities and county awardees, as well as state agency awardees. Based on the terms and conditions of your OAA award, we want to ensure that you have these records available for inspection by the OAA for the relevant specific award, as well as related to those approved performance measures. So it is always the responsibility of the recipient to maintain those written descriptions and written records surrounding your performance measures, how they're being tracked, and then how your actual counts that you're reporting for your annual report, how were those counts collected. Moving on to some guidance regarding performance measures that are collected by any cooperative partners for cities and counties and/or subrecipients, and that's relevant for all awardees. So if performance measures are collected by a subrecipient or a vendor, the recipient and/or recipient/fiscal agent remains ultimately responsible for ensuring the quality and consistency of the data, as well as access to any applicable records. Again, the OAA, based on the terms and conditions, we could come in and do a site visit or any type of other monitoring review, and we would want to see those records. The OAA also recommends including projected performance measures and related reporting and supporting documentation as a part of any agreements between the recipient and/or the subrecipient. So as this also relates for cooperative partnership awards, we would recommend including this as a part of your operational agreement, basically any of those projected measures, as well as any related reporting and or supporting documentation to make sure that all partners and all subrecipients are aware of their respective role in meeting, tracking, reporting on these measures. And then also one note for cooperative partnerships, all reporting requirements are the responsibility of the recipient, which is the city or county that is designated to serve as the fiscal agent. And that fiscal agent must ensure the quality and consistency of the data, as well as access, if the OAA needs to review any of those records, access to those records. If performance measures are collected by partner cities and counties, again, we recommend including projected performance measures, the methodology and process for collecting those measures, and identifying related reporting and supporting documentation, as well as a process to provide tracking or information regarding those records to the fiscal agent, as well as including that as a part of the operational agreement. Then we want to talk through some performance measure examples and scenarios. So this first example is related to a new project, and that new project is to establish overdose reversal program. And an acceptable performance measure for this particular new project would be tracking the number of overdoses reversed as a direct result of this new project. An unacceptable performance measure would be tracking the number of overdoses reversed for the entire city or county. So again, when you're thinking about, when you're thinking about tracking your performance measures and reporting on your performance measures, you're wanting to make sure that you're reporting and tracking the direct number as a result of the OAA funded portion of the project. When you're thinking about, also, we have another example. So this is for an expanded or enhanced project. So this particular project is to increase capacity of an overdose reversal program. So one acceptable measure would, for this particular enhancement or expansion, would be the number of overdoses reversed as a direct result of the expanded or enhanced portion of the project. And then again, an unacceptable performance measure would be the number of overdoses reversed for the entire project. So again, you're only going to focus on the OAA funded portion of that enhancement or expanded project. And then this is just some information on how to access the OAA performance measure guidance. So we do have a guidance document that is listed on our website. So you would go to the grants info subheader at the top of our webpage, and then you can access that guidance either under the individual distributions for city or counties or the cooperative partnership for cities and counties tabs. And you can also, we'll be posting this particular slide deck to our website following today's webinar. You can also click the click here option, and it's hyperlinked to take you directly to the guidance. Then there's also a website here at the bottom to go to the guidance document. And as you're looking at the guidance document and thinking through the information shared today, if you have any questions, you can contact us at info@boaa.us, or you can reach out to us directly. I have our Director of Operations, Mr. Linticum's information here, and my information is here as well.
Thank you, Sharika. Did not have any questions that I saw pop up during the presentation. So now we'll open it up. If anyone has questions, they can use the Q&A feature to type things out, or can use the raise hand feature, and then I can allow you to ask it live. I'll give a minute or so for those that may be typing. Right, Renee, allow to talk. Right, go ahead, Renee.
Hi, for the performance measures, I'm with the U.S. Supreme Court, and when we met with Tony, he mentioned that the performance measures that have been used by the OAA, he said we don't have to use those, we can come up with our own. My question is, on the portal, will those performance measures applied by the OAA be marked as required? Like we have to fill them out?
I believe you have to choose some performance measures, whether you use some of the ones that are pre-populated by us or you enter your own. And it should be that Sharika and Matt, our senior business analysts, have both done a big effort to enter your historical data. So if there's been any specialized performance measures that we added or used for your all's projects. I know state agencies don't often fit into their projects, don't often fit into the pre-prescribed, but they should already be loaded. And then if not, or if you have any questions, just let us know. We're happy to look. Sharika, feel free to add on anything I may have missed.
Yes, that's completely correct. So Renee, when you're going into your performance measure section of your proposal, again, we had a screenshot of the very bottom. You would just click to add whatever those specialized measures are. And as long as you're adding a measure, and as Charlie mentioned, your historical measures are also in there. So as long as you have at least one measure in there, you should be able to progress to the next portion of the application.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, anyone else have any performance measure questions?
Hey, folks, this is Tony. I just want to thank Charlie, and particularly Sharika for this presentation. I know we don't have a lot of people that have been watching live, but this is I think Sharika's done a great job. This is a good resource. The recording will, just like all of our Abatement Academy sessions, it's been recorded. The presentation and the recording will both be available on the website. And so I just want to thank those who attended for taking the time to be a part of this, and we appreciate your participation.
Thank you, Tony. Well, see other hand raises or anything showing up in the Q&A. Appreciate everyone's time, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. And do feel free to reach out to any of us or the info@voaa.us box, and be happy to assist you.